Oh, so you didn't lose enough sleep last time. You need to be up even later? What's the deal? Coffee works just as well, but I suppose movie monsters tend to be a fair deal more interesting. Thankfully, there is an abundance of atrocities waiting for you to acknowledge their existence, and once you do, there's no going back. That's right, we're back with an additional expansion pack of freaky fiends. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 scary movie monsters that will keep you up tonight, part 2. Make sure you're wearing a decent pair of shoes because you might feel the urge to get up and start running. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more slashing and smashing. Perfect, let's begin. Coming in at number 5, we've got the Pale Man. Guillermo del Toro is responsible for bringing multiple handfuls of the highest quality movie monsters to the public. He's got comic book monsters on lock with Hellboy. He's got gothic ghosts going nuts in Crimson Peak. He's crashed countless kaiju through walls in Pacific Rim, and that's just the start. One of his most memorable efforts, though, appears for just one scene in the stunning post-Civil War world of Pan's Labyrinth. One scene is all this monster needed, though, to cement itself in the hallowed halls of horror history. The Pale Man is frighteningly iconic, becoming both a major advertising tentpole when the flick released and an oft-referenced monster in general. There are plenty of fantasy creatures featured in Pan's Labyrinth, from fauns to fairies, but none stick out so much as this bald brute. His introduction instills a sense of dread that's hard to shake. Sitting at the head of a table, looking over a fabulous feast, this creature shouldn't be a problem, right? As long as young Ophelia doesn't eat any of the food, everything should proceed smoothly. Accompanied by some fairies, she enters the Pale Man's domain in order to retrieve a dagger. Unfortunately, the feast proves to be too tempting, and Ophelia snags a couple grapes. This prompts the Pale Man to prove his legendary child-devouring viciousness. The way he slowly, deliberately inserts his red eyes into the palms of his horrid hands and fans out his sharp fingers has been burned into my brain forever. Following traditional fairy tale rules, this is a movie that is meant to scare the crap out of children in order to teach a lesson. Ophelia learns to follow the rules to a T as she witnesses the Pale Man tear into her fairy friends. Mouth still bloody, he turns his attention to the girl and refocuses his terrible eyes. Now that's the kind of stuff that haunts nightmares forever. If you can ever get to sleep, that is. Coming in at number 4, we've got the baby. Again! And this time we're not talking about Lynch's Eraserhead though. This baby is a little more actively terrifying. Spawning from the 70s anti-contraceptive horror movie It's Alive, this baby doesn't even get a name. Maybe that's why it's so angry and destructive. After having their first kid, a married couple decided to take a little break. The wife took contraceptive medication for a couple years until the partners were ready for another baby. Unfortunately, this drug causes terrible deformations and some very violent urges in newly born infants. So when this baby pops out, it is absolutely terrifying. It's armed with a veiny, alien head, shredded baby arms, and terrible claws and fangs. This baby is a killing machine straight out the womb, and all because mama took the wrong pills for a bit. Who would have thunk? The monstrous qualities alone are enough to scare the daylights out of folks, but add in the whole human baby fresh from mama, it'll make you rethink your whole life. Is continuing the human race through procreation worth it if your offspring can end up like this? Expectant parents must have spent countless nights tossing and turning after seeing this movie. The baby is a sight to behold, tearing through entire teams of doctors and nurses. Hell, it'll even kill a milkman. So much spilled milk, so much spilled blood. I'm sure there's some commentary on motherhood somewhere in there, but I'm not clever enough to pin it down at the moment. Regardless, I wouldn't be surprised if birth rates plummeted in the years following the release of It's Alive. You can never be too careful. Coming in at number 3, we've got the Brundlefly. If you want disgusting, flesh-melting, body-contorting horror, Cronenberg is always a safe choice. And the movie monster reigning supreme over all other Cronenberg terrors has to be the human-fly hybrid from a teleportation experiment gone wrong. You know it, Goldblum meets Musca domestica. The final iteration of this beast is as iconic as they come, but the slow transformation from man to mixture is what really sells the terror here. For the same reason that Kafka's The Metamorphosis had such a profound effect, the fly exposes the human fear of being anything else. Sure, at first Seth Brundle enjoys his fly-like ability, ability. His strength and libido increase, and he develops wall climbing abilities akin to that of another human creepy crawly combo. But soon the transformations become less appealing. He starts losing teeth and nails and grows bristly hairs all over his body. Food can only be consumed via external enzyme application, and Brundle becomes more instinctual. Soon, all but the thinnest sliver of humanity is gone. He's more fly than man, and the result is terrifying. Just look at it, those glossy, dark eyes, the necrotic flesh falling off his body, the awful proboscises hanging from the front of his face. And if we're stuck on the baby horror of It's Alive, imagine being Ronnie in this situation, having a human fly baby and then almost being fused with it. It's a psychological horror and a body horror rolled up into one horrid package. No wonder it stuck with folks for the past few decades. Coming in at number 2, we've got The Thing. So many iterations, so many questions. The Thing is a masterwork of movie monsterdom. There's a version of The Thing for every fear, and all of them are slimy, bloody, and grotesque enough to give folks night terrors until the end times. The Thing works on so many levels. Each design is scary in its own special way. The Dog Thing, the Norris Thing, the Bennings Thing, the Palmer Thing, all unique, all blood-curdling. Everyone has their personal favorite, and by favorite I do mean iteration that causes them the most psychic harm. Every time it transforms, it's done up so lovingly in top-notch practical effects, adding to the depth of the terror. Of course, these superficial qualities of the monster only begin to portray the depths of terror it causes. Thanks to the transformative abilities it puts on full display, there is never really any way to know who or what the Thing has taken the form of. The result is a life and death game of hide and seek with an extraterrestrial killer. Trust dissolves in seconds, and then it's pretty much every man for himself. In the end, it becomes apparent that it doesn't really matter who or what the Thing is in the end. It's caused so much destruction, so much suffering, that the only action left to take is to give up. And that kind of despair is something humans need to avoid if they're gonna live a happy life. Isn't that what we're all wrestling at with night anyways? Finding reasons not to give up and to keep going? And finally, at number 1, we've got Freddy Krueger. And of course, the monster that requires you to stay awake indefinitely if you want to live. The dream demon himself, Mr. Nightmare on Elm Street, it's Freddy Krueger. One of the 3 big slasher villains, flanked by Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees, this man is the most mystical of the 3. After being burned alive by the concerned citizens of Springwood, he came back to kill their children in their dreams, and boy is he good at it. There are more dream deaths than you can count on 2 hands 2 times. There's the classic bloody bed fountain from the original Nightmare, multiple instances of claw-based violence, electrocution, massive drug overdose, bug transformation, suffocation, trips to hell, and more. If there's a creative kill, Freddy's probably tried it. Being able to control anyone's dreams with all physical harm crossing into the waking world is one hell of a power. He looks into his victims' psyches and finds their worst fears. Once that's discovered, he can use these phobias against them in the most sadistic way possible, which is a really rough way to go if you ask me. The only way to avoid Freddy's wrath is to avoid sleep altogether. And you can't really drink or use drugs either, because this allows him to slip in as well. How long do you think you would last before succumbing to sleep and then death? 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab your crucifix. 7, 8, gonna stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again. Who wants to stay up together and maybe watch a few different horror movies to keep our minds off the terrors discussed today? I, for one, wasn't planning on sleeping anyways. What did you think of the list? Are there any movie monsters not mentioned that prevent you from slumbering peacefully? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more reverb-drenched ones from the top 5 weirdest short horror films. Odd52 says, years ago my aunt got in a fight with her neighbor and the neighbor called the police saying my aunt had a weapon. It was a plastic spoon. Her next door pal must have seen the horribly slow murderer with the extremely inefficient weapon and thought the worst. Barsafan says, I've seen Think About This during a job orientation. I didn't think I'd ever have to hear about it again. It blows my mind that workplaces actually show their employees this weird music video featuring a bunch of practical effects. It's wild. I would have much rather done that than Wimmis. Blaze Robertson says, OMG, the second the teeth happened, I paused it and left. OMG, the noise. Yeah, it's pretty raunchy. Props to the creators for some excellent sound design though. Movie and TV fanatic Star Wars, Marvel, and DC fan says, I thought you meant the other Teeth movie, lol. Yeah, that one is somehow less painful to watch. It's like more of a comedy, I guess. And the Horror Channel says never seen these movies. Well, that's the beauty of short films. You can watch them in minutes and they're probably all available online. Go check them out. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I take a good long look at my own bones, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more masterful monsters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.